Just a few years ago, Scooby Wright was the recipient of the Bronco Nagurski Award, which is given to the best defensive player in all of college football. He was setting records at Arizona and looked to be the next great linebacker in the NFL. However, he's played in more football leagues than he has career sacks, and now he's out of football for good. So what exactly went wrong, and where is Scooby Wright now? Before we get to today's video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. I post a lot of college football videos like this, so if you enjoy these kind of videos, then this is definitely the place for you. One of the few places Scooby Wright will find his birth name is on his high school diploma or on his driver's license. That's pretty much it. Nobody calls him by his real name, which is Philip. He's named after his father and his grandfather. He's had his nickname since he was a baby, when his father called his son his little Scooby-Doo. Although he was the best defensive player when he was in college football, it wasn't looking good for him during his high school days. Scooby nearly finished his junior high school season without any scholarship offers. He participated in college camps and was rated as a 2-star prospect. He makes sure to remind himself of that every day, as his Twitter handle is @2starscoop. Even to this day. He kind of was baffled as to why he wasn't being recruited more, Cardinal Newman coach Paul Cronin said. There was one coach who said, hey, go check out Sacramento State or check out UC Davis. Those are good schools, but it was an insult to him because he thought he was better than the guys they were recruiting. As an 8th grader, Scooby would wake up his father at 5:30 a.m. 4 times a week to get a ride to the high school. He would lift weights with the varsity players for an hour, hop back in the car, and then head to the other side of town to his middle school for classes. While at Cardinal Newman, Wright was the last player off the practice field every day. When he did leave the field, him and his defensive coordinator would work on pass rushing techniques in the backyard or watch film. They spent many Sundays together as well. By the 8th game of Scooby's sophomore year, he was the best player on the team. I don't know if we've ever seen a kid attack it like that, Paul Cronin said. Scooby was just fanatical. You just think if someone works that hard, it has to work out. During his junior year of high school, Scooby's classmates in other sports were starting to receive scholarship offers from all kinds of sports. However, none were coming in for him. Cardinal Newman wasn't really known for football, so recruiters weren't really in the area as much as they should have been. Everyone's always questioned my athleticism, Scooby said, but I went to the Nike training camp with supposedly the best guys in the West Coast. I went and competed with the best of them and stood out, but never really heard anything back. Scooby and his father Phil went to Seattle for the Huskies junior day, meeting with then coach Steve Sarkisian and assistant coach Peter Sermon. He should probably look somewhere else, they told Wright. He wasn't their type of linebacker. At UCLA, Jim Mora capped a 20-minute conversation by saying the Bruins would be in touch in the coming days, but they never called. Then with Cal, the same story. Then linebackers coach Kenwick Thompson told Scooby he might want to look at a smaller school, asking him if he'd considered Sacramento State. Then, all of a sudden, out of the blue, an offer came in from the University of Arizona during the end of his junior year. The Wildcats somehow stumbled across Scooby's highlights, and they wanted to get him on their team. The first contact came at the end of Scooby's junior year when he spoke to Arizona assistant Tony Gibson. They wanted to offer Scooby right on the spot. They knew that Scooby was going to be something special, and they wanted to get him before another school could. I thought this guy just looks like a really good player, Rich Rodriguez said. We thought that if we offer him, it's going to bring attention to him and we're going to have to fight a bunch of folks. Other schools started paying attention, but Arizona made sure that Scooby didn't feel forgotten. And out of the hundreds of highlight videos Scooby sent, Arizona was one of the few to respond and the only one that never hedged. Other schools said we'll get back to you or send us film from your senior year, Scooby said, but there was none of that with Arizona. They said, we're going to offer you, we want you. So Scooby Wright committed to Arizona on June 21st, the same day of his parents' anniversary. Here's what head coach Rich Rodriguez had to say about Scooby Wright. I remember thinking, this guy is a really good player. I immediately asked, okay, so who else do we have to beat to recruit him? And it wasn't really a whole lot. I didn't know he had 2 stars. I thought he had only 1. 3 days after graduation, Scooby arrived at Arizona's campus. He started at outside linebacker as a true freshman and recorded 83 tackles with 9.5 for loss, but played kind of blind, according to him. So, Scooby wanted to keep working. Once he got on campus, we found that he could handle a lot physically and mentally, Rich Rodriguez said. He's just a football player, whether you put him at defensive end or linebacker. We could put him at fullback because he's great there too. Scooby Wright then had one of the greatest seasons we've seen in recent memory from a linebacker during his sophomore year. He totaled 164 tackles with an astonishing 31 tackles for loss and 15 sacks. He also had 5 forced fumbles on the season as well. He ranked first nationally in tackles for loss per game, third in sacks per game, fourth in tackles per game, and was tied for first in forced fumbles. If there's any school that probably regrets not giving Scooby an offer, it was definitely Oregon, as he single-handedly beat the Ducks during his first 2 seasons. During his freshman year, Scooby intercepted a Marcus Mariota pass and added 6 tackles with 1 coming for loss. Then in his sophomore year, Scooby sacked Mariota, stripping the ball and recovering the fumble as Oregon was driving down the field for the game-tying score. Arizona upset the number 2 Oregon Ducks 31-24. Scooby also had 7 tackles, including a sack. When the 2 teams met in the Pac-12 title game, Arizona lost, but Scooby recorded 14 tackles. He plays with that chip, Matt Dudek, Arizona's director of on-campus recruiting and player personnel, said. Like, I wasn't good enough for you. Now I'm going to have 19 tackles against you. I'm going to steal the ball 3 times. Scooby made sure to use that chip when playing against other Pac-12 opponents as well, wanting to remind them what they were missing out on by not even offering him. It definitely fires me up. I went to all those combines and stuff. People always question my athleticism. I had one of the highest spark scores in the country, like 112. It definitely motivated me more, being overlooked. Against Cal, Scooby recorded 18 tackles with 4 tackles for loss and 2 sacks. Against USC, 12 tackles with 3 for loss and 1 sack. Against Washington State, he had 8 tackles with 3 sacks and 3 forced fumbles. Against UCLA, he recorded 19.5 tackles with 4.5 coming for loss and 3 sacks. 2 days after the UCLA game, he was informed that he had won his 2nd consecutive Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Week award. His response though? I don't care. We lost. Nobody's going to come back in 20 years and say, oh, you had 20 tackles in this game. If your team wins, that's all that matters in the end. Scooby's incredible play was rewarded following the 2014 season as he was named the Bronco Nagurski Trophy Award winner, presented annually to the nation's most outstanding defensive player, the first player in Arizona Wildcats history to ever win the award. I want to say thank you to all my teammates and my coaches. Football is a team game. I accept this on behalf of the Arizona football program. I'm excited for Scooby, Rich Rodriguez said. He epitomizes what our program is about. He has a chip on his shoulder. He loves the game and is a good teammate. One of the reasons his numbers are so high is because of his effort. You want everybody to do that, but it comes to Scooby naturally. He plays with a sense of urgency on every snap. In addition, Scooby was also named the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year and a first-team all-conference selection. He became the first player since 1999 to finish the season ranked in the top 5 for tackles, tackles for loss, and sacks. Scooby told school administrators he didn't want his image added to a mural featuring all of Arizona's football All-Americans near the Wildcats practice field. Though he enjoyed his pride his parents took in his postseason accolades, he doesn't like talking about the trophies. He wants to focus on helping Arizona win football games. We bug him about it, quarterback Anu Solomon said. He hates it. He hates the attention. Every time we see him, we call him Big Time. He's the Mr. Big Time of the college football world. We believe it, but I know he won't get caught up in that. He'll continue to work and make sure he gets better this season. After having one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen from a linebacker, Scooby Wright was ready in 2015 to hopefully get Arizona over the hump and lead them to the Pac-12 championship. However, things didn't go anywhere as planned. He suffered a left leg injury in the first quarter of Arizona's season opener against UTSA. He couldn't even walk under his own power and needed a cane to get around on the sideline. He missed the next 3 weeks, but returned for the UCLA game at the end of September. Scooby racked up 7 tackles, but suffered another setback. He suffered a sprained foot and would be out for the next 3 months. He returned in December to play in Arizona's bowl game against New Mexico. He delivered one of his classic games as he totaled 15 tackles with 3.5 tackles for loss and 2 sacks. After missing most of the season, he finally had another one of those vintage games we saw on a week-to-week basis in 2014. Following the game, though, Scooby announced that that would be his final game in a Wildcats uniform.
Can you tell us, was this your last game in an Arizona uniform?
Yeah, it is. I'm going to declare for 2016 NFL draft.
What does this Arizona program mean to you as you look toward your future?
I'm forever indebted to them. These past 3 years, I couldn't ask for a better people, a better group to be around, and just make me the player I am. I'm forever indebted.
It's been special, his father said. Everything at Arizona, Scooby's loved. They took a chance on him. I know he's really broken up. It was a really tough year for him, and fighting through it, he went out the way he wanted to. Now, he'll just get ready for the combine, and now he's got to go to work. The paperwork from the NFL's draft advisory board told Scooby that his ceiling is as a first-round pick, and NFL people told his family that he had a good shot of being taken in the 2nd or 3rd round. I think I've accomplished everything I wanted to do in college, Scooby said, and I feel like it's the right time. Then, the combine took place, and things things immediately began to go downhill for Scooby. His arm measurements came in at 30.5 inches, which is considered short in draft circles. Conventional wisdom being that players with shorter arms tend to tackle higher, and tackling high at the NFL level tends to result in tackles being broken. His position drills were not good at all, including a televised stumble and an agility drill. His vertical was among the worst at the position, and then there was his 40 time. His 40-yard dash time was 4.90. There are 300-pound offensive linemen that can run faster than that. So, Scooby had to try to redeem himself at Arizona's Pro Day. He improved his 40-yard dash time by about a tenth of a second. He improved his vertical by 4 inches. Coming out of this workout, he definitely helped himself, his agent said. The film is so awesome for him. All we really wanted to accomplish was to have some good numbers. Wright's combine performance left him angry and disappointed. He spent some time in San Diego afterward, decompressing and trying to figure out what went wrong. He realized that he simply just tried too hard. You can do that in a football game. You can't do that when you have to run a 40. You look at track guys, they don't look like they're about to pull a neck muscle, which I do. There's a picture of me. It was all bad. I was that guy. His agent assured him that the combine wasn't the end at all, but just a part of the process. His career speaks for itself. You don't run out on Sundays and play in shorts. You play with football pads on. When this guy has pads on, he dominates. When it comes to Sundays, he's going to dominate again as a football player. He may not be the best athlete in the draft, but he's one of the great football players. That production is going to separate him. His agent believes Scooby would be a second-day pick in the draft, meaning he'd go in either the second or third round, where most mock drafts and projections had him going. Scooby said that he was no longer stressing over when he'd be selected. Lately, I've just come to peace with it. Before I was like, oh, I've got to go in the first round. I just want to go play ball. I'll be 21 years old playing in the NFL, living my dream. I'm just excited for it. Well, the NFL draft came, and Scooby's name wasn't called in the first round, or in the second round, or in the third round on day 2, like many people expected. It wasn't called all the way until the Browns took him with the 250th pick in the 7th round, barely making it through the draft. Although it was one of the worst days of his life, it quickly became one of the best days of his life because through the end, Scooby was still drafted by the NFL, accomplishing his lifelong dream. With the Cleveland Browns already losing 2 quarterbacks to injuries in the first 2 weeks of the season, someone on the team had to go to make room on the roster. And unfortunately, that man was Scooby Wright. The Browns waived him after signing free agent quarterback Charlie Whitehurst to fill the void of the quarterback spot. Wright never saw a snap for the Browns as he was inactive for the first 2 games of the season. He cleared waivers and was signed to their practice squad. Then in December of 2015, the Arizona Cardinals signed Scooby to their practice squad. In early May, the Cardinals were in communication with Wright to come to Arizona if he wasn't drafted, but the Browns then used their last selection on the linebacker. In May, Bruce Arians was on the phone begging Scooby to come to Arizona as an undrafted free agent. It was around, I think there were like 5 picks somewhere in the draft, and I was talking to a few teams. I was on the phone with Coach Arians, and I hung up the phone, was talking to my parents, saying I wanted to go to the Cardinals, this and that. I was about to call Coach Arians back, and as I was unlocking my phone, an Ohio number comes up, and it was the Cleveland Browns. We just drafted you. That was kind of that. The Cardinals used Scooby on special teams, but not a whole lot. However, he remained with the Cardinals through the offseason and really looked to be picking up momentum during the summer. He came in here last year and he helped fix our special teams because he's dynamite covering, Bruce Arians said. He got to where the guys watched him cover. There's always a fun thing when the sidelines say, hey, watch Scooby, and he'd go down and blow some stuff up. He's playing extremely well at linebacker, and he's one of those guys that I have to say whoa to because he's going full tilt. In 3 games with the Cardinals, Scooby recorded 1 special teams tackle and an assisted tackle. However, although he was picking up momentum, Scooby never saw the field. On September 2nd of 2017, he was waived by the Cardinals and signed to their practice squad. He was then promoted to the active roster, but then waived again and signed back to the practice squad. It looked as if Scooby's NFL career was over, but not his football career. In December of 2018, he signed with the Arizona Hotshots of the Alliance of American Football, a new professional league that was set to begin playing in 2019. In 8 games with the Hotshots, Scooby recorded only 9 tackles. Then the AAF shut down and Scooby looked to be done with football yet again. He was given yet another NFL opportunity as he signed with the New England Patriots in August of 2019. Although he looked good in a preseason game recording a couple sacks, he was released during the final roster cuts. He was re-signed to the practice squad in September, but on October 1st, he was released from the practice squad. Yet again, he was out of the NFL. He then tried out his 3rd new football league, the revamped XFL. The DC Defenders selected him at number 28 overall in the draft. In 4 games with the Defenders, he recorded 17 tackles, But then, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the XFL shut its doors. In October of 2020, it looked as if Scooby had been training and putting in work to do some mixed martial arts and kickboxing style fighting. Participating in his first fight, Scooby took to social media to announce that he won his first official fight after spending time preparing and training to transition to the new sport. From what I found online, it also said that he joined the Alphas team that's part of the Spring League, but I couldn't find much more information on that, so I'm not exactly sure if he really played in that league. So unfortunately, it looks like the football career Scooby Wright always envisioned and dreamed about didn't pan out. But that doesn't mean he didn't succeed. He won the Nagurski Award, which only a handful of players in college football can ever accomplish. He was drafted in the NFL, something only about 250 players can do every year. And he played in an NFL game. So if you ask me, I think Scooby Wright accomplished quite a bit. So what are your thoughts on Scooby and his journey through football? Have you guys seen a defensive player like him in college football? Do you think he'll get one more chance to try and get his football career going? Drop a comment down below and share with me your thoughts. If you haven't done so yet, if you could please take a second to give this video a thumbs up, I would greatly appreciate it. It helps share the video with more college football fans, and it only takes a second to do. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. If you're a college football fan, then this is definitely the place for you. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.